members have to bring it, legal counsel reviews it, and then legal counsel advises the board that yes, you have enough, or no, try again, right? So it's not necessarily just, two board members hate Tamayo, then let's go ahead and censure him. Now, a censure, it is like you have stated, it does not limit the board member from anything. It's a formal statement to the board saying that they don't agree with the actions or the behavior of a board member. Now, it does list what type of actions or what behavior constitutes grounds for censure, and that is listed on page 1 at the bottom. It says a board member may be censured for conduct that substantially violates the board professional governance standards, the board bylaws, board policies, administrative regulations, and or governing board conduct requirements, closed session confidentiality requirements, conflict of interest laws, or any state or federal law. So it's very narrow. As
if you take a minute to read what I'm actually strengthening the language that you've inserted. Take a few minutes to take a look at it. It's strengthening what you've said. It doesn't take away what you're saying. It's strengthening the language, and it protects us from any civil liability in the future. So I'm not going to be here forever. You're not going to be here forever. So
this was vetted by our legal counsel, so he was like, this is fine.
Well, I'll offer that if you could offer this language to see if he would consider this being better language. And I would also consider having sunset dates. Hardly anything that we have has sunset dates. That's why we have things that are dated 1999.
So there's no such thing as sunset dates. However, there is an actual bylaw that says that we need to review board policies on a frequent basis. No?
And what's frequent?
What's frequent?
You're right.
Right? And that's the thing that we need to, as the policy committee is reviewing these, one of the bylaws is to, that bylaw is going to be changed to put a better frequency, right? 2 years.
Right. That's why you do a sunset date.
Now, okay, so your sunset day is the review cycle.
Right.
We'll call it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's going to be baked into a general board bylaw that not just for this bylaw, but every single bylaw
Makes sense.
has to be reviewed, right? Because then we fall into the trap that we have right now that there's board policies that are older than our fellow trustee Ramirez Dominguez. So, and or we're missing them, right? Like this one, the attorney, the other one that I brought. So,
Trustee Tamayo, but if you look at this, it strengthens what you have. All I'm asking is, can you take it to the attorney? We're coming back in a few weeks, and take a look at it. It strengthens what you have.
So I'll tell you what. There's nothing that prevents us from later revising board policies.
Yes, there is.
No.
Well, you're just not going to bring it back. That's what will be prevented. Or anyone else. You know what I mean?
I'm going to ask the lawyer and see if he can amend this. And if he says
that it strengthens it,
that it's better, we'll add it. Okay. So with that, I move to approve as it is, and I'll go in and ask the lawyer.
Is there a second?
I have a comment
Sure.
before we do that. I think that historically we've had issues when we approve bylaws and then we come back and revise them. If we have a proposal to review it, and again, we're coming back in 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, I would say why approve it now if you can just review it and then, make sure that everything legally can be specified? Because we already had an issue with closed campus with not specific, clear, concise, specific, direct, and everything not up to interpretation. So my point of view is, if we're going to be here in 3 weeks, why not just review, take it back, and then bring it, and we can really talk about it.
So, but if the attorney comes back and he says that it remains the same, then are we going to have this discussion all over again?
We would have the vote for it, right?
I mean, that's what we do, right? We have
Well,
discussions.
yeah, we can have discussions on it,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying we tabled it last time. If we do it again.
It wasn't
and this-
tabled, it
or
was the first
it was-
hearing.
It was the first hearing, so this is now, so we can't, we would have to decide right now?
This is the second read,
Uh-huh.
it could be approved.
It could be approved.
It could be, doesn't mean that it
You could
has
vote
to be,
no
right?
and not approve it. There's nothing that prevents that. However, one of the things that I remind everybody is that we asked for the FitMet review.
This is what they.
FigMet said we are missing, this is one, that it's also going to be part of it.
But if you look at what I offered,
Mhm.
I'm not giving you a blank sheet or saying I don't like this without offering the language. It's not having to recreate anything as far as, okay, coming to the boss with a problem without a possible solution. I'm offering the language that strengthens your intent and the intent of this board.
So for example, let's look at Amendment 4.
Amendment 4?
Amendment 4 says that you want to change it to a board member's protected speech.
It
That's,
says amended language, censure, it's just, if you compare the two current language with amended language, that's the change.
but that
And then
is
it
said,
identifies-
that is in
identifies.
page number 2.
Mm.
It's
It
not
says
your
it there.
wording, but it's
Oh,
that,
mhm.
that says right there. You're
Right.
saying board member protected speech.
No,
That-
I never said it was my wording.
and
I'm-
it's
what
you're
right.
proposing this,
Yes,
right? This
yes.
is your wording.
Okay.
To me, this is your wording. If somebody else gave it to you, I don't care. This is your proposal, this is your wording. So, if you're proposing this, it says right there in page 2, protected speech under First Amendment.
It's the same
You
thing,
don't-
isn't it?
It's the same thing. You don't have to specify board member.
Well, like I said, once you take it in the full context, then I
Well-
guess we can talk about it later.
I still move to approve.
I second.
And I will bring it to the board, to the layer.
It's been moved and seconded. Recording secretary, please call the vote.
Ramirez Domínguez,
Nay.
Domínguez Cervantes,
Nay.
Tolston.
Aye.
Tamayo.
Aye.
Ugarte.
Aye, motion carries 3-2. First and second possible revision, Board Law 9005, Professional Governance Standards.
If there are no questions, move to
I
approve.
do. I have questions.
Okay?
First here, I'd like to offer this here, inclusion into the official board record. There's 3 of them there, there's here. And I'll go ahead and read what I have, what I just gave you. Is my trustee statement regarding Board Bylaw 9005, Professional Governance Standards. To the Governing Board of the Chula Vista Elementary School District, I respectfully submit this statement for inclusion in the official record regarding Board Bylaw 9005, Professional Governance Standards, particularly as it relates to potential enforcement through Board Bylaw 9251, censure of a board member. I strongly support high standards of governance, ethical conduct, fiscal accountability, and lawful operation. However, I have concerns that certain provisions of Board Bylaw 9005, as currently drafted, may be interpreted or applied in a manner that, 1, converts aspirational governance principles into subjective enforcement standards. 2, risks chilling lawful dissent by elected trustees. 3, blurs the line between agreement and misconduct. And 4, creates challenges if used to support censure. Board Policy 9005 contains broadly framed behavioral standards such as act with civility, or, quote, govern with unity of purpose, and, quote, act with dignity and integrity. While these are appropriate aspirational expectations, they are inherently subjective and open to interpretation. When combined with Board Policy 9251, which authorizes public censure by majority vote, these broad standards may become the basis for punitive action against a trustee whose views, tone, or policy positions differ from those of the majority. As elected officials, trustees retain First Amendment rights and independent representational duties to their constituents. The Education Code recognizes that board authority is collective. However, individual trustees are independently elected and not required to surrender their lawful right to express dissenting views. Respectful disagreement is not misconduct. Minority viewpoints are as essential part of democratic governance. If Board Policy 9005 is intended to be aspirational, it should be clearly stated as such. If it is intended to support censure proceedings, then objective criteria, procedural safeguards, and clear evidentiary standards must be included to ensure fairness, consistency, and legal compliance. And I didn't print the other half. Here's the other half. I think you might have it there. Excuse me. Oh. Yeah, you have my original. Thank you. Accordingly, I request that the board clarify Board Policy 9005 is aspirational in nature, explicitly protect lawful dissent and individual speech rights, limit censure under Board Policy 9251 to documented violations of law, confidentiality breaches, or conflicts of interest, and ensure that governance standards are not used to penalize viewpoint differences. My position is not opposition to governance standards. It is a request for clarity, constitutional safeguards, and protection of the integrity of this board as democratically elected body. And here's my signature page, so I submit
Thank you.
to be included in the official record regarding board bylaw 9005.
And as you keep referencing differences of opinion, lawful dissent, or minority votes, protected speech, I'll refer you back to Board Policy 9251, page 2. It states right there that censure shall not be based solely on difference of opinion, lawful dissent, or minority votes. Protected speech under the First Amendment. So,
Trustee Tamay, I'm not trying to challenge the work. I'm just trying to make these stronger for future board members as well. I'm not challenging it. I'm just asking for consideration to my statements and my comment and my input. I've also added here's some additional amendments for your consideration. And may I hand this over to you?
are these amendments to?
Yes, 9005.
Okay, I'll do the same.
Here's this one if you want. I don't know if Trustee President Ugarte wants a copy of this one. I did have enough ink to
print both?
copy. Yes.
I had a question that had to do with the other one, but since censure comes up here as well, does censure stay in your record?
Yes.
There's no record. It states on the minutes, right, of the board, but there's no record of a personal record, or I go out and apply for a job and somebody's going to say, well, he was censured.
I want to know, because that's not
No.
identified,
No.
and I want to make sure that, again, everything's specified, everything's clarified, everything's clear.
Yes.
Because I do believe that a person's reputation is very highly valued, at least for me. So again, if it might not stay in a record, but it might stain a person's reputation. And again, and I understand what it's written, but I want to support what Ms. Delia said, and we need to make sure that, I'm going to quote Spider-Man, that with great power comes great responsibility. But it literally is, like, I don't want to be approving bylaws that might be used, and you said for other issues that are, and you continue saying not only for these things. So in my mind, actually, let me go back and read it because I want to see it. It says it should not be solely based. So it means that there will be a point that difference of opinion, lawful dissent, and protected speech under the First Amendment are a part. Like having that specific word that says not solely, it means that it is. It is going to be considered as a part of censuring when you allow this wording. Like these are the things that we were talking about. If you say not solely, it means that dissension will be considered for censure.
So for example, I'll give you an example. Let's say that now we have a censure policy and we have bylaws. And then by next board meeting, you decide that because we now have a censure and you don't agree with the vote, you bring a censure item to censure me, right? That would be protected under the censure guidelines, right? That it's not because you have a dissenting vote, you can't do that. We can't do that. You have to say, well, Board Member Tamayo went out and spoke about something that we discussed in closed session, or something that I went and attacked a member of the public, or I went to a gathering of people that don't share our values. That, as a board, you could take a position, right? But not necessarily is something that is going to trigger just because I didn't agree with you on a certain item, or I didn't agree with you on a particular board policy, or I didn't agree with you on a certain item that we voted. Because at the end of the day, if you look at our standards, we will have disagreements, yes. It's not always going to be, oh, we all agree on every single item. But once the board, the entire board, makes a decision, we have to stand by that decision, even though we don't like the decision. The board made the decision, and at the end of the day, that's the true power, right? And it's not Tamayo has power to run the district, no.
I have a question.
Sure.
And thank you for your clarification. But let's say, first say, you and President Ugarte get together and want to censure me.
Sure.
She's the only one that can contact the lawyer,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So let's turn it around. Let's say Tolston and I want to censure you, and Principal Ugarte decides that maybe it's not, like we can't contact a lawyer. You know, I can't.
She has to.
So if two people come together and say, we need to contact a lawyer, you would have to do it. And is this here?
The bylaw
In the
says-
bylaw, does it say
Yes.
if two people come together
Yes.
and whatever the claim is, you will contact a lawyer immediately?
Yes.
How can you?
For censorship.
Where,
How can two?
Where is
that
it?
makes
I thought it was
three.
two people that can.
be agendized, and you would have to bring it to.
But that's
so if
three.
it's not agendized,
Agenda.
it doesn't
people.
happen.
So here's
So if in the agenda, let's say I wanna, again, Mr. Tamayo.
yes, please.
You're the victim here.
Yes.
So if we wanted to censure you, but then President Ugarte says, there's no space in the agenda, thank you, then how far are we pushing this? How much, like, are we pushing it a year? Are we pushing it half a year? Are we pushing it, I don't know. I just want to make sure, because that is not here. And I go back
So,
to the
so
same thing.
there's
It's not specified.
there's
Not
additional
clear.
clarification that we're working on how we publish agenda items, right? It's a request. One of those is going to address exactly what you're saying. How long does it have the district to agendize something where 2 board members are asking?
Because I know Figma, you were requesting for how many months?
Since the
You
that
know?
other summer of 2024 and didn't happen until,
So
But
this
that was
is
because FICMAP had a delay of about 8 months
But-
when we
but here's the
contacted
thing.
them, so.
The thing,
but
But-
that was in
but-
January. The
but-
fires were in January, so they're
but
delayed. Didn't come
here's
till
the
then.
thing. She requested, I second that.
okay.
That's why it happened, not just because one board member said.
Okay.
Is I did second that. Then we reached out to Figmat, and then Figmat said, we don't have bandwidth right now because we're dealing with fires.
I understand that.
And then we started the
Okay.
process.
So what you are saying right now is that if one board member says it, another seconds that thing, whatever they're requesting, will show up in the agenda for.
Yes, and one of the things that I'm working on is the board bylaw to clarify how much leeway they have to agendize that item, right? Because right now it's not clear.
Yeah.
Right now is based on the workload of the agenda. Now, we can request it, let's say, we request an item, then they would have a next number of meetings to agendize. If we don't get to it because we took long discussing a item, then we don't get to it, but it was agendized.
So what you're saying is, if there's an agendized item that was requested by a board member,
Mhm.
and it's placed on triple X or triple G
Yes.
because there's 1,700 other things that we
Yeah.
need to go to, and it's not touched on, does it mean that it was agendized, so it never has to be touched again?
No.
It doesn't come back.
It comes back to the next meeting.
Okay.
It gets
I
added.
want to make
Whatever
sure. I want
you
to make
don't-
sure.
Whatever you don't get to in a meeting gets rolled over to the next meeting, right? In hopes that we move along and get to that item.
Yeah. I just want to
Um,
make sure.
But yes, all that will be clarified in other board bylaws.
So I'm seeing all
Trustee
of these.
Tamayo,
Yes.
to end the conversation on why I worked so
Sure.
hard on the 2, without the amendment, the interaction of Board Bylaw 9005 and Board Bylaw 9251, it creates a subjective enforcement mechanism. It's a risk of majoritarian control over dissent, potential constitutionality, constitutional vulnerability, and possible reputational harm to the district because of these kinds of discussions and because of censoring. It was that combination of the 2
Mhm.
being used in that manner. It can be used, it creates a creature that combining the 2 board bylaws, it creates this non-intended creature, which causes these things. And that's why I was asking if you would consider looking at these, because combined, and I'm glad they actually came out combined, because
Mhm.
had they been separated
Yeah,
into
they-
different.
they
I
make
w-
no sense.
Yes, right. So that's what I'm asking you, as the bylaw chair, to
Mhm.
consider these 2 recommendations, because combined, they just create this monster that can be misused.
Okay. I do have a motion.
You do?
To approve, yes.
I'm
Yes.
seeing that this was already, I mean, this was adopted years ago, 2002, so this already existed,
Yes.
and it was just revised.
Slavery used to exist too.
Come on.
Yes, but the
I'm not gonna engage in that. So, I'm seeing all the references, this is already ed code, it's government code, it's board bylaws, we're just we're just revising something that has already existed, and even if it wasn't here, in our own bylaws, we could still use everything to take action as we've been talking about. Am I correct?
Correct. Even if this language doesn't exist. Government code, which is referenced here in this bylaw, gives us the power to do exactly this. So the fact that we have a bylaw is for easier consumption of the boards. The alternative is we go to Education Code 35010 and we
find
start looking at
Yeah.
pieces.
And we
right?
find all the regulations. So I'm going to go
That's
ahead and
why
second.
thank you.
You have a motion.
I second.
There's a motion and a second. Recording secretary, please call the vote.
Ramirez Dominguez,
It's a no until there's clarification.
Dominguez Cervantes,
Nay, only till trustee Tamayo has an opportunity to look at the two
Mhm.
recommendations.
Tolston,
Aye.
Tamayo,
Aye.
Ugarte.
Aye. Motion carries 3-2. Item
You shouldn't.
13A. Report on results of the 24-25 CASP and progress and the 25 California School Dashboard Indicators. Ms. Morales.
Thank you, President Ugarte. Before I introduce our team who's going to be presenting tonight, I just want to echo the sentiments that we heard from our union leaders at the beginning of the meeting, that the progress and all of the work that we're reporting on tonight is really representative of the incredible work of our teachers, our support staff at our school sites, our principals, our district team. They have worked incredibly hard to get these results, but ultimately, it's the students. So we are excited to share our progress today. We have a new metric on the dashboard, which indicates that over 75% of our students are showing accelerated growth at this time. And so we're just really pleased to be able to share that and to celebrate. We also have some of our principals and our school teams here tonight that we'd like to honor with their results. And so I'd like to pass it over to Mrs. Montgomery.
Thank you, Ms. Morales, and thank you, President Ugarte, Dr. Reyes, and board members. Tonight, as Ms. Morales said, we're very excited to share with you the results of our California dashboard and highlight the progress that our district continues to make on behalf of our students. This year, as Ms. Morales said, we have a new metric, and we are proud to share this new accelerated growth metric with you, which provides a look at how our students are progressing over time. Tonight's presentation will include our overview of the CASP results, key indicators from the dashboard, and we're excited to spotlight 3 schools. And as Ms. Morales said, we have our principals here to represent their schools as well. At this time, I'd like to introduce Cindy Estrada, our coordinator for induction and assessment, and she's going to walk you through the data and also the highlights from our schools.
Good evening. Well, everything that they just said about what we're going to be previewing, and so we're going to go ahead and dive right in. Good evening, President Ugarte, trustees, Dr. Reyes, cabinet. We're going to go ahead and take a look at our CASP results and our dashboard from last school year and what they mean as key indicators for performance for our district. And so before we actually dive into the data, let's take a look at the 2 systems that we're going to be referring to in the presentation. And so CASP is our system of assessments that measures student achievement in English language arts, mathematics, and science. And the California dashboard is our state's accountability system that provides that comprehensive view of performance across multiple indicators. So we're going to be seeing both of these in our presentation this evening. Both of these systems use CASP data, assessment data, but they serve different purposes. So when we're looking at CASP, the test results for California assessments reports the number and % of students that fall within performance levels, so level 1, 2, 3, and 4. The California dashboard reports the average distance from standard for academic indicators. So you'll be seeing both of those this evening. And so in these upcoming slides, you're going to see our CASP results from last school year. This data is used not as a single definitive measure, but as a checkpoint for us to validate our progress, celebrate success, and also identifies areas for growth as well. And so here you can see in English language arts, 56.38% of our students met or exceeded in this area. On the right-hand side in this chart, you can see the student counts by proficiency band over the past 2 years. In level 4, we had an increase of approximately 120 students from the previous year. Level 3 saw a slight decrease, which is attributed to the increase in level 4. And then levels 1 and 2 also decreased slightly, which is encouraging as it means that fewer students are performing at below standard. Overall, the data shows positive movement towards the top end, which means more students are exceeding standards and fewer students are not meeting. Let's take a look at mathematics. 45.94% of our students met or exceeded standard in this area. We saw an increase in the number of students in level 4 from the previous year, with level 3 also increasing slightly. Level 2 remained relatively stable, with the number of students in level 1 decreasing, which is a positive trend. Overall, while math proficiency is lower than ELA, we are seeing incremental gains at the top levels and a reduction of students not meeting standards. To address this as a district, we are providing intentional professional learning opportunities to all teachers in the district and site leaders aligned to the California frameworks and standards. These efforts will strengthen instructional practices, deepen conceptual understanding, and ensure access to high-quality math instruction for all of our students. In the area of science, 38.95% of our 5th grade students met or exceeded standard. When looking at the comparison chart on the right, you will see that the number of students in level 3 and 4 increased. Level 1 decreased, indicating positive movement toward higher proficiency. You will notice that our greatest number of students for science are in level 2, standard nearly met. It's important to note that although students take this science assessment in 5th grade, the CAST science test covers kindergarten through 5th grade science standards and the science and engineering practices. Our district adopted curriculum, Twig Science, which we have had for just a couple years now, is NGSS aligned and provides multiple opportunities and resources aligned to the CAST assessment. In fact, CVESD is currently providing professional learning in the area of science for all 4th and 5th grade teachers. Now we're going to transition into the California School Dashboard, and we're going to start with a quick refresher on what that looks like. So you might be wondering, when we go to the dashboard, where do all these colors come from and how does it display performance? So performance is determined by 2 factors on the dashboard. Status, which is ranging from very low to very high, and change, which is ranging from decline significantly to increase significantly. When we're looking at 5x5 grids, we want to be cautious not to focus just on the color alone, because growth matters and is based off of a growth model. For example, a school with a medium performance that is improving is more promising than one with a high performance that is declining. In short, the 5x5 grid provides valuable context, but growth and change over time are just as important as color when we're assessing the progress. The California dashboard includes 2 different sets of indicators, which are part of our state's accountability system. The state indicators include academics, which is English language arts, math, and science, English learner progress, chronic absenteeism, and suspension rate indicator. The second set of indicators are the local indicators, which include the basics, implementation of academic standards, parent and family engagement, local school climate, and access to a broad course of study. The dashboard also reports specific student groups as required by Ed Code. So if a student group happens to be less than 30, no color will be assigned to the dashboard. They do that for confidentiality purposes. And so that is something that if you see some group on the dashboard with no color, that would be why. The dashboard reports distance from standard, which I mentioned earlier. And distance from standard, often referred to as DFS or distance from level 3, measures how far a student's performance is from meeting the state's academic standards and subjects. So it shows the distance between a student's score on the CASP assessment and the proficiency threshold known as level 3 or standard met. So here's an example, a 5th grade math example. A score of 25-28 is needed to meet standard, which is indicated by the green arrow that you see there. If a student scores 2,500, which you see in red, they are then 25 points below that threshold, giving them a negative distance from standard of 28. And you can see that there in the yellow triangle. Here's another example. If a student scores 2568, shown in red, they are then 40 points above that threshold with a positive distance from standard of 40. And so what they do is the average of all of those different distance from standards is what is reported on the California dashboard indicator card. And here's an example of what that would look like. In this case, the average distance from standard would be 8.1 points below standard. So this is just an example of what that looks like on the dashboard. And so now that we have an understanding of what the dashboard is and how it's reported, let's take a look at our data from the 2025 dashboard for CVESD. And so for our local indicators, CVESD met standard for all 5, including the basics, access to a broad course of study, implementation of academic standards, parent-family engagement, and local climate survey. And on this slide, you can see our state indicators and our assigned colors for the 2025 dashboard. We were issued yellow indicators for chronic absenteeism, English learner progress, and mathematics, and earned green indicators for suspension rate, English language arts, and science. On the next slide, you'll see a snapshot of the performance indicators for our different student groups. But first, I'm going to share with you that new indicator that you heard in the introduction. So this year on the dashboard that was released, there's a new indicator that they call the growth data indicator. And so this one here for ELA and math, they have a new growth data for the first time. And the dashboard cards include this graphic displaying performance levels as well as the percentages of students whose scores have improved from the previous years. So it's kind of confusing because there's so many colors on the dashboard, and now they're throwing a whole bunch of new colors at us with this new indicator. So I put a little key at the top there to help us out. And so the growth performance levels fall into different categories of minimal, moderate, average, accelerated, and exceptional. And down below you see where we fall for CVESD. We're proud to share that 76.3% of our students improved their score from the previous year in English language arts, and 75.8% of our students improved their score in math from the previous year. And in both of those areas, we are improving, our growth is improving at an accelerated rate. So we're really proud to share that with you this evening.
Thank you, teachers.
Yes, yes. And so here's another way to look at the data. This is our student group report. So this displays the distribution of assigned colors across the different indicators. It compares how they're doing across the district, and it helps us to identify gaps and determine where additional supports might be needed. And so on this next slide, you're going to see what that looks like in a more manageable way, because that's a lot of data. So this is a 2-year comparison And we're able to see that our student groups has shifted our colors in the right direction. So that trend of growth is continuing here. In the area of red, we have our student groups has decreased from 5 to 3. In orange, we're decreasing from 16 to 10. Our yellow has increased from 19 to 26. Our student groups in green from 15 to 22, and our student groups in blue have also increased from 6 to 9. This positive change is a testament to our hard work of our teachers and leaders at school sites and our commitment as a district towards that continuous improvement. As I mentioned earlier, each indicator has a 5x5 grid, which determines the color based off of that status and change. And so we're going to go through each indicator to see how we fall as a district. Here you see the 5x5 placement for English language arts and where our schools fall within that 5x5 grid. So for English language arts, 31 of our schools were assigned high or very high status and or increased significantly in English language arts. For mathematics, again, 31 of our schools met that same criteria. They were identified as high or very high status or increased significantly in the area of mathematics. And
are we allowed to ask questions? Okay. Well, like the 31, are those the same schools?
They're not all the same. Some of them are the same.
30 are?
Some of them are not. So we can, there are some commonalities, but some are not, yeah.
Okay, you know we can't read what it says, right?
I know, it's very small.
All right.
Yes, I know. It's hard to, we have so many schools, it's hard to fit them all on one slide.
Thank you for summarizing it, though.
For science, in the area of 5th grade science, 28 of our schools were assigned high or very high status or increased or significantly increased in this area. Our English learner progress 5x5 placement, 17 of our schools placed in the high or very high status or increased significantly in this area. And a key thing to remember about this indicator, which they don't disclose, is that this is not encompassing all of the students that are reclassified as English learners. So although that number is lower, it's not encompassing all of those students who have gone through that process and they're already reclassified as proficient in the English language. So this one is a little bit tricky. For chronic absenteeism, 29 of our schools were in the low or very low or declined or significantly declined for this area. And they like to throw us for a loop here because we hear the words low or declined and we think, oh, that's not good. But in this area, that's our goal. So for low status and declined for chronic absenteeism actually reflects strong and improving student attendance and engagement. So that's what we want to see. So we have 29 there. And then our last state indicator is suspension. Follows that same model. We had 22 of our schools that placed in that same criteria. Okay. So now that we know where we fall as a district, let's take a look of how we compare to some local districts within our area. So I know there's a lot on this slide too. It's kind of small, but we'll make sure that you have access to see it up close too, okay? So out of the 7 local districts that are listed here, CVESD is at the very top above that black line. CVESD stands out as the only district with 2 green academic indicators. In English language arts, we are the only district that that is above standard in English language arts. In mathematics, CVESD is the closest district to meeting standard. We are under at negative 14.3 below, but versus the other local districts, they range between 37 points below to 82 points below.
That's so sad.
In science, CVESD has earned a green indicator and has the highest number of science points compared to our local districts. We have the lowest suspension rate, and our chronic absenteeism is significantly lower as well. When we look at the new dashboard's growth model, CVESD is the only district with both ELA and math growth showing at the accelerated level. As a district, we remain deeply committed to continuous improvement by analyzing data, examining our practices, and strengthening our systems to ensure meaningful and rigorous learning for all of our students. So now at this time, I'd like to spotlight a few of our CVESD schools with you this evening. That happens to be my favorite part of the presentation. Our first school that I would like to spotlight with you is Hilltop Drive Elementary School. Hilltop's dedicated staff and students embody the Knight spirit, strong, focused, and committed to growth. Their hard work is clearly reflected in this year's dashboard results. Hilltop saw a 5.84% increase on ELA on their CASP assessments. The Knights really shined on the California dashboard, where they increased 15.1 points distance from standard in English language arts, earning green status. In math, they increased 9.1 points distance from standard, and they earned a blue status in science, increasing 12.3 points. They also reduced their chronic absenteeism by 3.4%. Their growth data shows that 83.3% of their students improved their scores in ELA, and 82% of their students improved in math. Their progress is a testament to what happens when a school community leads with purpose and unity, and I'd like to extend our congratulations to Hilltop Elementary.
Dr. Greiser couldn't make it tonight, but he's texting me. So excited.
And next up are the Roadrunners on the Rise, and I know that their proud principal is probably going to make some noise back here. So we're happy to highlight Rice Elementary, a proud community school, for their strong and meaningful gains on both CASP assessments and the California School Dashboard. Just like their mascot, the Rice Roadrunners are focused and moving forward. And this year's data proves just that. On the CASP assessments, they increased 5.76% in English language arts and 8.9% in math. On the dashboard, Rice increased 7.7 points distance from standard in ELA. Their English learner progress increased by 4.7%, and their chronic absenteeism declined by 1.2%. They also increased on the dashboard in mathematics, distance from standard, 26.4 points distance from standard. And on that new growth metric, their data shows that 82.5% of their students improved their score in ELA, and 87.6% of their students improved in math. Well done, Rice. And lastly, we will spotlight the Montgomery Eagles, who are taking their learning to new heights, and their principal is also with us this evening. On the CASP, Montgomery increased 10.91% in English language arts and 9.71% in math. And in science, they increased 12.29%. On the dashboard, they're shining bright in yellow. They increased 10.3 points in mathematics, 18.2 in ELA, and their growth data shows 78.3 of their students improved in math. And this is not a mistake. 93.3% of their students improved in ELA. The Montgomery Eagles are soaring together, showing what happens when a school community lifts every learner towards success. Congratulations, Montgomery. As we wrap up our presentation, I just want to reiterate that CVESD is strongly committed to putting students at the center of everything we do. The dashboard and the CASP results provide insights into student growth, achievement trends and progress across all student groups, helping us to understand and respond to the unique needs of our learners, so that way we can support our teachers and our leaders with what they need to meet those needs of our students. This commitment is evident in our district and our school plans, like Rigorous Learning for All and our LCAP. Every decision that we make is guided by our focus on high-quality student-centered learning. Our goal is not only for students to succeed while they are here with us in CVESD, but we want them to thrive on the pathways of opportunity that await them in action during our LCAP presentation. But with that, I thank you for your continued support and dedication to the success of our students.
Board comments?
Yes.
Yeah. First of all, I would like to congratulate all of our schools that are working really hard, especially the 4th Avenue Reinas. I've actually had the opportunity to go visit both schools, and it's been a pleasure to see our community work really hard. So congratulations, ladies. And also, I went to visit Hilltop, so it's been such a good thing. And one of the things that really highlighted me from Hilltop Drive was that the moment I walked in, the principal, he gave me a spreadsheet, and he's like, this is our numbers, and this is how we did before, and this is how you read this. And I just got a lesson of how to read these things, and I was like, thank you. But it was great because I can see how much effort each and every one of our principals and teachers have put into just making, like, helping our students thrive. So I love seeing highlights. At the same time, I hope that we can get that report, because I would love to see the tiny little letters. And I know that you guys have access to absolutely everybody in the areas of growth. So I always want to learn more of the people that are doing great in order for it to help us with the other schools. Just again, support and contribute. So I'm excited for the growth. I'm excited for that new growth marker that actually shows us, like, hey, it's not only a number, it's like they're growing, they're doing better. Because at the end of the day, this is what we want. This is why we're here. This is why we do late nights and get in fights for the kids, you know? And I just want to congratulate everybody that's doing a great job. Thank you for the report. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. I love the presentation, especially seeing the growth that really helps us see a bigger picture. The bigger picture is amazing. I really enjoyed the presentation. On that same note, I know Trustee Tamayo and I have asked in the past about focus on the children, the students that are more challenged, that have what we need to do, and that's the point of asking, to identify those. And at some point we're going to get some report. I don't know when, but why I'm asking this is because the trend seems to be that those economically challenged students seem to be the ones that are also then challenged with not the same speed of growth that we'd like to see. And I would love to see what our plan is on how to continue to support them. I'm just really excited about all the work that all the school sites did and all the staff, because this didn't happen by itself. Yeah. We know that. But we know that there's also these other students that aren't experiencing that growth. And if you think about it, they're not experiencing that growth, and therefore they're not probably too happy either, because they see their peers are experiencing some a little more excitement. So I would love to see at some point what we're going to do. We need to identify those students that Trustee Tamayo and I have been asking for. So what is the plan to give them the support they need also? And it can't be to give us any classroom 32 students.
I just wanted to say congratulations again to district administrators, school administrators, and teachers for all the hard work that you do. I see it in my own son and his growth, whether he's whether his school is up there or not. I see it as our children and how he's been growing with the teachers that he has and the support that he has at his school. I just had one question. Obviously, I'm sure you're going to tell me, yes, you do. But you say certain schools have different strengths, some in English, some in math. How do you guys work together to share this across the community, across the school communities? Do you guys have like roundtables, meetings, teachers collaborating together to see what's working and what's not? Sharing.
So we have a lot of different opportunities and structures in place for sharing to occur and collaboration to occur on many different levels, at the teacher level, at the leader level, and it all falls actually within our rigorous learning for all. And so within high quality professional learning, we have teachers coming together all at the same time. All teachers, we have moved away from like the trainer of trainer model. So teachers are coming and learning together, collaborating, sharing best practices in that way. Our leaders are engaging in learning walks together where they're going to each other's sites or engaging in opportunities to identify best practices. All of our sites, leaders have engaged or created turnaround leadership action plans. So they're looking at the areas of needs that are specific to their sites. They have strategic plans where they're getting support from their senior director, where they receive coaching that is specifically catered to their sites, because we know our district there's a wide range of needs. Some schools are need to focus more on English language arts, if that is their strength, where others are math, and so it's really catered to that need. And so we have all of those different layers of support. And one of the things that actually just wrapped up this week is our instructional leadership team. We have that going on where the teams are coming together, not only collaborating as a school site, but also within schools within different cohorts as well. So we have a lot of different systems in place to allow for that collaboration and sharing to occur.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, these are amazing results. There's no denying that the district has improved, and it continues to improve thanks to the work of teachers, classified personnel, that it's also supporting the classroom, all the way to bus drivers, right, to make sure that chronic absenteeism is lowered by having a smile when students are getting on board to the bus, and everybody here supporting the schools. I applaud that effort, because it's a whole effort. It's not just isolated efforts. Going back to what Trustee Dominguez Cervantes said, I think we kind of viewed that number today. ELA in that slide, you had a number there with a level 1 that are students are level 1. You don't need to show it, okay. But there's roughly 2,000 students. Is that first grade to sixth grade, or what is the range there?
That's a great question. So the students who engage who take the CASP assessment are grades 3 through 6. So that represents students from grades 3 through 6.
And then, do we have any numbers for primary grades?
For primary grades do not take this assessment. This year was the first year that we have implemented the new reading risk difficulty screener. So we actually just went through that first initial implementation of that. So that's new data that we're just starting to dig into. Our teachers just finished that administration in January.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's something new, a new level of data that we haven't had before.
Right.
And so that's something that we're excited to dig into and identify trends to see for those primary grades, what are those areas in those foundational literacy skills that students need support, who are the students that might need additional interventions, and with the risk screener that we adopted, Amplify, Dibbles, or Lectura for our DI programs, or the Spanish-speaking students, it actually encompasses the next steps for those students. And so we're excited as a team to really dig in to look at that data.
Yeah, I'm excited to have that data now with that screener, because with that, I'm sure the superintendent can and should develop a plan on how we're going to address those students that are at level 1 in that. And I'm looking forward to seeing a plan come soon on what are, now that we know these are the students that are far below, what are we going to do to target those students either in a summer school environment or additional supports? You know best. That's why you are here, because you're the bright minds. But I do want to see a plan. I do want to see what are we going to do different, because doing the same is not going to be enough. So we want, at least I think the board, what has been saying is they want something else to make sure that students are being served and we're helping those that are far below standard. Thank you.
When will we know those results for that new assessment?
The risk readers?
Yes.
So as Ms. Estrada just said, we just finished that administration and we're going through that data. That data is already in the hands of our school sites and teachers so that they are able to identify right away the students that either were identified as at risk or not at risk. And that's possible risk. That's not saying that they actually have the risk. And what that does is it informs teachers about where the students' strengths are, what they know and are able to do, what they understand about early literacy and foundational skills. And then it also provides resources for teachers to be able to provide support for students in the areas that they need. One of the key pieces about when you say what's the plan, right? So where we begin with the universal screener. And that universal screener gives us that really important data that we have not had before. And that data helps to inform our instruction, our core instruction in the classroom. So it helps our teachers to identify how to focus instruction for the whole class and for small group instruction. And if you look even right behind you, then the next step is that's the first step in a multi-tiered system of support. Then we go from there. After that, good, high quality tier 1 instruction is provided. We look to see, are the students making progress? That's why it's so important that we adopted a screener and an assessment that allows us to look at the progress of students over time. And so once then we get the next piece of information, which would be the progress monitoring. Then we look to see, did our instruction help support students in making growth or not? And if not, then what's our next steps for additional supports? That's a part of a multi-tiered system of support that we're working on at the district level as well as at each one of our sites.
I just wanted to double check. What grade were these students?
So what we did is we adopted M-Class DIBELS Lectura, so in English and Spanish, as a district for our screener, which is for K2. It must be administered once per year. That administration was in January, as Ms. Estrada said. In addition, we ensured that we adopted that actually all the way to 6th grade, because looking at our literacy percentages, we knew that we needed this information for all students so that we could get a really good picture. As I said, we haven't had this data before and this information. So this is our starting point. Yeah. And we'll continue to gather more information, find out more about the progress, and provide supports for our teachers and our students.
Yeah, thank you. I was thinking they get tested in kinder and then they get tested again all the way through 3rd grade. I was like, that's a huge gap. But I love that you actually.
Yes.
It's not one and done, it's a continual.
Right, and this is just the beginning part of a comprehensive assessment system that we're building. Okay. Right, just at the beginning.
Thank you.
I just want to reiterate what my colleague said about thank you for the presentation. And it's very great to see that the magic that's happening in the classroom every day with our instructional assistants, our teachers, at our sites with our leadership, our principals, that it's coming to fruition. I kind of want to piggyback on what they were saying with regard to sharing. I know our principals are in cohorts, and I think one of the great things that we we could share is, and what Trustee Tamayo said is, what did you do differently to get these results, right? There's my accent. Specifically, what was it what can you pinpoint as a principal, as a teacher, as a team at a site that you did differently in these areas to have this growth so that you can share it with the others? And I know that that's kind of your job, right, to go around and share that, but I think it would be great if they could have those conversations and say, this is what we did differently, and go ahead and use it as well.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Enjoyed that. All right, the mid-year update on the local control and accountability plan and the local control funding formula, budget overview for parents. Ms. Morales.
Okay, thank you. One of the pieces, and probably I should have introduced this in the beginning presentation because we're back here in instructional services. And one of our plans that we developed to hold ourselves accountable for supporting our students is our LCAP. And so tonight we're excited to report out on our mid-year progress with all of the expenditures. But in response to the conversation that we had at the last board meeting about what are we going to do with our students who need more support, we've added slides in this presentation to be able to illustrate that. And so I want to start by saying, though, I want to talk about our words around our students. So in tonight's presentation, we're really going to also share those district efforts to support our at-promise students. At-promise students is a strength-based term that recognizes our students' potential while also acknowledges the systemic challenges that can impact academic outcomes for our students. We are intentional in using the term at-promise students, and we hold ourselves responsible as a team to use these words at promise because we don't want to label our students negatively with a deficit mindset as at risk or even failing. And so it's really important that we see the assets of our students, whether they be language differences. And we heard earlier tonight about some of the challenges our students come with that are supported by some of our mental health specialists in our campus. And so we'd like to introduce that term tonight and use it as we speak about our students. Other incredible members of our instructional services and student services team are going to be presenting tonight. One of our plans is that our LCAP, our rigorous learning for all, we all do it together. We have a one-team approach, and it extends to many people in this room and in our district. And I know you know Ms. Lonnie Perez, who is amazing, and she does such a great job with the LCAP, and she's going to start us off tonight.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Good evening, President Ugarte, trustees, Dr. Reyes. As you know, the LCAP is, well, let me move this forward. Oops. Wait, how do we go backwards? There we go. As you know, the LCAP is specific to California, and it is a 3-year plan that outlines how we will support positive student outcomes based on our state and local priorities. The LCAP gives our district the opportunity to share our story on how, what, and why programs and services are selected to meet our student needs. So our LCAP has goals, specific actions to meet those goals, budget expenditures, and metrics to measure progress. And we are currently in year 2 of our 3-year plan. The LCAP describes how the district plans to improve academic achievement for all. However, supplemental and concentration grant funds must be specifically directed at the following student groups you see up here: low income, multilingual English learners, and foster youth. Jessica mentioned our at-promise students, and I want to emphasize that this LCAP is designed specifically with them in mind. When we discuss the actions, supports, and investments outlined in this plan, it's important to recognize that these are the specific efforts that we're making to ensure that our at-promise students have every opportunity to thrive. And thus, this LCAP is our roadmap for that commitment. So here on the slide, you'll see the timeline of LCAP development, and we began the input gathering process with our educational partners just last month in January. And that includes engagement sessions with our teachers, staff, labor partners, administrators, parents, students, and community. We had our first engagement opportunity with our DAC-DLAC, and then our special education parents had a presentation at their coffee talk with Dr. Patel. And the school sites right now are planning their engagement sessions and may have already had some with both their staff and their parent communities. We're going to continue gathering input through March. And you'll see that in February, there's a mid-year report to the Board of Education, which we are conducting right now, and that is required. Any revisions to the plan based on our educational partner input will be drafted, and in May, there will be a public hearing for the proposed 26-27 LCAP. And this is the chance for the public to comment on the plan and for the board to provide feedback. So at that meeting, you will be presented with a draft of the 26-27 LCAP. Tonight, we're just doing a mid-year update on the current LCAP that we have now. And then in June of 2026, the LCAP goes for board approval. As a reminder, our LCAP is based on the top themes that emerged from educational partner input, which you see here on this slide, and they include adequate staffing for all, comprehensive student well-being and support, effective and engaging curriculum and instruction, increased access to resources and infrastructure, relevant and ongoing professional development, strong homeschool partnerships and communication, safe, inclusive, and supportive environments, prioritizing innovation and future skills, targeted support for English learners, and efficient operations and resource management. You're going to see a slide like this very similar in May with a summary of the new input that we gather after our input gathering process. But this is the feedback that we are working off from last year's input and survey, okay? So we will be providing a mid-year update on our 5 goals. Goal 1, academics. Goal 2, safe and inclusive environments. Goal 3, English learner supports. Goal 4, innovation. Goal 5, educational partner engagement. We will now provide an update on key items for each goal.
Okay, so for goal 1, this is focused on academics. Our work this year centers on strengthening standards-aligned core instruction, improving instructional coherence, and building educator capacity, the conditions that drive sustained academic growth over time. In English language arts, we are focused specifically on literacy and foundational skills through the district-wide implementation of our literacy screener. Teachers received professional learning at the start of the year, and they just recently administered this assessment. They are now analyzing the results to inform core instruction and provide guides for differentiation. In math, our professional learning has focused on the California Mathematical Framework and Standards to support our teachers in providing grade-level standards-aligned instruction and engaging our students in mathematical reasoning and problem-solving. We're also committed to ensuring students receive special education services and have access to high-quality, grade-level standards-aligned instruction. Our special education teachers are currently engaging in professional learning alongside general education educators to strengthen shared expectations and to increase instructional coherence with additional job-specific training such as job-alike learning for our RSP teachers. LCAP Goal 1 is grounded in the understanding that strong core instruction, effective use of data, and ongoing professional learning lead to the sustained improvements in literacy and in math. Our district wide academic focus is also supported through our principal learning, which includes coaching and instructional walks. All schools have participated in at least 2 learning walks this year. These efforts build leadership capacity and support consistent instructional practices across our sites. We're also investing in instructional leadership teams, as Cindy mentioned, at each site as a district capacity building strategy aligned to LCAP Goal 1. So far, we have provided 3 out of our 4 ILT release days for each school in the district. This investment strengthens site-based leadership structures so that instructional improvement is shared, sustainable, and focused on improving literacy and math outcomes over time. At the site level, school plans for student achievement, SPSAs, operationalize LCAP Goal 1 priorities. Our principals lead teams in analyzing data, allocating resources strategically, including our instructional assistants, intervention teachers, and resource teachers. As a team, they monitor the effectiveness of these strategies, adjusting supports based on student need. Strong standards align core curriculum informed by data and supported by instructional leadership structures is how we are improving student outcomes. Across LCAP Goal 1, academic indicators, and instructional coherence across all of our schools.
And Goal 2 is all about making sure every student feels safe, supported, and included academically, socially, and behaviorally, and emotionally, so they can truly thrive in our schools. A key component of the work supporting this goal is our comprehensive multi-tiered system of support, which has been mentioned a couple of times tonight, or MTSS. And this framework allows us to proactively identify student needs and deliver timely supports, whether academic, behavioral, or social emotional. This school year, we have dedicated considerable time to deepening district-wide understanding and strengthening the implementation of MTSS. This has included ongoing training and professional learning, aligned with rigorous learning for all, engaging both staff and a broader community. Our students genuinely enjoy being at school, which is reflected in our strong, consistent, and continuous daily average attendance. This speaks to the meaningful connections we have built and the strong sense of belonging felt by our students and our families. In addition, safety also continues to be a top priority, so all CVESD staff is trained in EJICS. We continue to partner with our school resource officers, or SROs. In addition to that, we have our door access control project, which are at 50% completion. And as mentioned previously, part of Goal 2 is social emotional supports. So this funding source actually reflects a combination of LCAP funds and Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant funds. Together, these funds, these resources have allowed us to provide meaningful supports that address the whole child, not just academics. As part of Goal 2, we prioritize social emotional supports through, like I said before, a comprehensive multi-tiered system of support. And this approach ensures students receive the right level of assistance based on their individual need. These supports do include direct services for students that are delivered by a variety of specialized service providers across our district. Some of these services include support from our lead mental health and district social worker, who works closely with students experiencing homelessness and those in foster care, ensuring they have access to consistent support. In addition, we also have 10 district registered behavior staff providing behavioral support across our schools, as well as additional psychologists supporting to assist with more student assessment and timely identification of needs. We also listen carefully to the feedback from our school sites. So based on that input, we increased instructional assistant support on campuses. In the past, these positions were assigned strictly by classroom numbers, and we have shifted that approach to provide additional allocations to school so that school sites can respond to more intensive student needs. So this gives school leaders greater flexibility to determine where support is needed, most needed on their campuses. Together, these investments reflect our commitment to creating a safe, inclusive, and supportive learning environment.
Our ongoing commitment to supporting multilingual English learners remains a key focus in CVESD. While LPAC data reflects maintained overall language progress, this stability underscores the importance of continued implementation of LCAP actions focused on accelerating student growth in English language proficiency. Overall CASP data, however, shows growth in literacy achievement for our English learners, and notably long-term English learners, which is a new student group in the LCAP and dashboard, demonstrates gains in both language proficiency and reading achievement, suggesting that instructional supports are positively impacting this student group. We're also pleased to report that our mid-year reclassification rate has already exceeded last year's end-of-year reclassification rate. Yes, that's awesome. Educational partner feedback informed the implementation of focused supports for identified English learners across all school sites, which include small group instruction by trained English learner instructional assistants structured around key language domains to accelerate language proficiency growth. Now, you will see here in budgeted expenditures and estimated actuals that there is a material difference. The $272,000 was actually not spent this year. This is Title III money, however, because at the beginning of the school year, there was a federal freeze on Title III, and there was uncertainty for that specific funding source. When the funding was actually released, we were well into the school year, and we did not think that making a decision to pull teachers out of the classroom to fund 2 Title III resource teachers was wise at that time. But that is something that we can revisit in the 26-27 version of our LCAP. So I just wanted to point that out as part of our mid-year report. Goal 4 focuses on advancing innovation to expand meaningful learning opportunities for our students. This work continues through our LEAD after-school program, which currently serves more than 15,000 students through both LEAD Hub and LEAD Club offerings. Funded by the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program grant, LEAD provides equitable access to engaging, enrichment-based experiences that support student growth beyond the instructional day. Our students continue to have access to our exceptional VAPA classes across 1 or more arts disciplines, as well as physical education. In addition, our 4th through 6th grade students actively participate in our signature station experiences, where they engage in innovative learning opportunities that emphasize creativity, collaboration, and design thinking. Teachers in both of these programs also continue to receive professional learning to strengthen instructional practices, align to our instructional vision, and ensure high-quality, engaging learning experiences for all students. CVESD has continued to strengthen family engagement through community outreach, family leadership, educational opportunities, and enhanced digital communication. To ensure our families are informed and connected, they routinely receive communications through our Final Site platform, social media, flyers, and translation interpretation services to ensure accessibility for all. Community outreach continues to be a top priority for the district, with over 1,000 families attending the Community Expo for the past several years. Furthermore, we have representation from all 43 district schools in our new Parent Ambassador program. The district has hosted 3 Parent Ambassador meetings as of January 2026, where our Parent Ambassadors gather to learn about district initiatives, work on increasing family engagement at their school site, and build community with one another. Now that we've shared our mid-year progress across the 5 LCAP goals, I want to pause and connect that work to the students it's ultimately designed to serve. This brings us to our at-promise students and the supports we've put in place for them. Our approach is intentionally multi-tiered and system-wide, beginning with strong core instruction and extending to focused and integrated supports.
Supporting our at-promise students requires a deliberate, district-wide system, not one single program. Our approach ensures that every student has consistent access to high-quality grade-level instruction, paired with timely supports that are based on identified needs. We begin with access to standards-aligned core instruction. It's the most powerful lever for improving outcomes for all learners, including our at-promise students. Instruction is informed by our assessments, including our universal screener, and ongoing classroom assessments to support teachers as they identify strengths, monitor progress, and then adjust instruction as needed. This work is part of our continued development of our MTSS system, one coherent system serving all students. Within our classrooms, teachers use small group instruction to provide responsive support while maintaining access to grade level learning. When additional support is needed, students receive additional supports aligned to the classroom instruction so that they can accelerate their progress. Extended learning opportunities and social emotional supports provide additional time to address conditions that may impact learning, ensuring students are ready to engage and succeed. School sites play a critical role. Through their SPSA plans, principals and teams analyze their data and strategically use their Title I and LCAP funds to provide supports to the students. These supports are aligned to their community's needs, and they use intervention staff or instructional assistants and resource teachers to support their goals. These supports are intentional. As I said, our support for our at-promise students really begins at each school site. For example, we're going to highlight Montgomery Elementary again. We're going to get a little bit more information about how did they do it. At Montgomery Elementary, we have a resource teacher who is providing support to identified students. They use multiple sources of data, including the CASP ELA and our district-wide assessments, to identify students in grades 3 through 6 who are needing additional support. Then they provide intervention and monitor progress. These supports include focused reading and writing support, aligned to the classroom instruction and designed to address specific learning needs. The school team is actively monitoring student progress through teacher feedback and Lexile data, which is reviewed to adjust supports as needed. As a result of this strategy, the site has observed that 10% growth that you saw earlier in grades 3 through 6 on the CASP data, moving from 40 to 50% students who have met or exceeded standards. The principal and team continue to monitor outcomes and refine their plan to ensure that the supports remain responsive and effective for their students. Supporting our at-promise students is also a strategy that we look at the district level. We use district supports to support our students across all school sites. In alignment with LCAP Goal 3, we have been providing supplemental language development support for English learners to strengthen access, engagement, and progress in learning. This year, we have 26 district English learner instructional assistants who deliver 8 weeks of focused supplemental instruction in the fall to 1,006 identified English learners across all district schools. This support was strategically designed around students' individual language development needs with a focus on listening, speaking, reading, and writing. These services complemented the core classroom instruction, ensuring English learners received additional aligned support that would accelerate their language growth and help them to fully participate in grade level learning in the classroom. This concludes our LCAP mid-year report. We want to thank you for your ongoing support of our plan and most importantly for our CVESD students. Thank you.
Board questions or comments?
Madam President, before we start, do we need to extend the meeting?
So we have reports and communications.
What time is it supposed to be over?
10:30.
10:30. So, I mean, we'll finish with the agenda, but do you want to extend it 15 minutes or end it at 10:30?
Well, 10:30 is in 5 minutes.
Yes. So,
So,
Can we give our comments to our presenters and
well, we still need to do reports, right? And 15 minutes?
yeah. Move to extend the meeting by 15 minutes.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Recording secretary, please call the vote for
Ramirez
15
Dom-
minutes.
Ramirez Domínguez.
Aye.
Domínguez Cervantes.
Aye.
Tolston.
Aye.
Tamayo.
Aye.
Ugarte.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0. Comments,
Yeah.
questions?
Thank you for your presentation. I look forward to, I just keep thinking of our counselors, and I know that for next year, you guys are going to have to be really creative, and I'm sorry. Yeah, but thank you so much for the presentation. I know that there's a lot of effort put into it, and I would like to see, and I think maybe it was before, but if there's any way we can get like all the results because I know the SIPSAs have all the school site results. If there's any way we can just have like the actual numbers. I don't know. Maybe it's a reports thing, but yeah, thank you so much.
That was my same call. The social workers, the counselors, under the circumstances, please let us know how you're able to pull this off again this next year. Great presentation, mind you.
I just want to echo what I said during the CAST presentation. Once again, I admire everything that you do every single day, working in collaboration with the whole staff, which includes our schools. So thank you again, and just keep it up. Keep up the good work, because it shows.
Likewise, thank you for everything you're doing. Let's remember that promise that we're making to these kids. Let's make sure that the next LCAP, as we develop with that intention, right? That we're going to not just promise, but we're going to keep that promise to these kids, because we know that those are the ones that need us the most. So we should dedicate a little bit more resources to that. Thank you.
I want to thank you too, and as you all know, this is my jam, because as a ELL teacher and a MTSS resource teacher, this spoke to me, and to see that those supports for our at-promise students hit everything that is involved with MTSS was right on. So thank you very much, and good work. And congratulations, Montgomery, again. Good job. And Rice, too. And the Hilltops.
And Hilltops.
And Hilltop. All right, report calendar to the Board of Education. This is a point in the board agenda where board members can ask for reports from the district office. Trustee Ramirez Dominguez.
Yeah, I think I already mentioned them, but if we can have those presentations so we can review them. But I would like to have the CASP results all together. I don't know if that's possible. So like the schools, all like in all together.
Yeah, I can add it again to the board update. We
you.
have it by school, by grade level for ELA, math, and science. I'll put it in the next week's
Thank
update.
you so much.
You're welcome.
We already mentioned the report that Trustee Tamayo and I are looking for, and the plan. And didn't want us to forget that we're looking to have the report or presentation
On the charter.
on the charter schools. Thank you.
Nothing.
If I can get on a Friday update, the actual counts for how many people are participating in the Employee Plus One for benefits, and also how many people are participating on the family plan. That's it. All units. I mean, you can break it down by unit, but it's all units.
And that's what I was going to ask for. Okay. Thank you. The board communications is the point of the agenda where board members communicate the activity for since the last board meeting. Trustee Ramirez Dominguez.
Thank you. I would like to report that I attended the CVLCC Elementary Speech Contest. as well as the Macmillan speech contest, which were amazing. And I'm glad I was not the judge because they were really, really good. And I also attended, I visited Harborside, which was a great experience with Mr. Aparicio, and I learned a lot and all the effort that he's and the whole school is taking to make sure they do everything for their students. So thank you so much to Harborside, and I'd like to officially apologize to Mueller because I had to cancel last minute, but I'm looking forward to go visit them soon. Thank you.
Yeah, I attended the Olympic View, what makes a strong community, and the kids are just so amazing. You sit there, you're in awe. And the teachers that help them prepare, thank you, because it took them, the parents, and I know that it takes a village for some of these things. Also attended the celebration of life for Ms. Langfield. It was beautifully attended, and the staff there were not staff, they were family. And they they decorated the NPR room, and Principal Ms. Liz, she did a great job too. Everybody just came together, and there was everyone was family. And my grandkids went to that school and was the teacher for one of my grandkids. So great loss, but everybody had shared their beautiful memories of their interactions and life with her. Thank you.
I also had the opportunity to judge the Macmillan and the Arroyo Vista What Makes a Strong Community speeches. And again, like they have said, it was amazing to see these kids and their speeches. Some speak better than maybe we do. And their message of what builds a strong community. I think a lot of us as adults should follow their message, because speaking of also Kindness Week a couple weeks ago, or even last week, I think we should all remember that what builds a strong community is to be kind to one another, whether we agree with each other or not, because there's always ways to discuss and have dialogue and not be disrespectful or insulting to others. I also want to send love to Arroyo Vista, because last weekend there was another parent that passed away, unfortunately. It's been a hard year for that staff, but I do know that they are in the best hands, and that staff will rally around them for them to make it okay and to slowly process their loss. So thank you.
Nothing to report?
It was a very short time period, it seems like, but I do want to wish everyone and continue to remind people that we are celebrating Black History Month, and to continue to uplift and elevate all of our ancestors that contributed to so much of our technology and our advancements, like our nurses and our mathematicians that allow us to have the technology we have today. I want to wish everyone a happy President's Day weekend and a happy Valentine's Day.
I just want to say that I'm very proud of the accomplishments that across CVESD we've seen today. I think it's a day of celebration. We saw the amazing results that have academic results that are happening across the district. We have some incredible school sites that are just doing things that we need to, we're looking at to see how we can replicate that. And the positive trend of academic success, it doesn't happen in a vacuum. And because teaching and learning happens in the classroom, and it's the amazing teachers that do the work with the support of the classified and the leadership of the site principals, and of course the support of these amazing folks that work in the district office. But I do want to say that we know how hard our teachers work, and I'm very proud of the work that is being done, because the ones that are benefiting are the students. And so today I felt very proud seeing the numbers, because each number, each data point represents a student, a life. And so if you take that, it's not just a number, it's actually an individual that is moving up And so I'm very proud of the work, and I want to thank every single one of you here, but also especially at the sites, that every single day they do whatever needs to be done to ensure that our students are being successful and thriving. Thank you.
Thank you. The next regular meeting of the Board of Education of the Chula Vista Elementary School District will be held on March 4th at 4 p.m. for closed session and 6 p.m. for the open session. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Recording secretary, please call the vote.
Ramirez Dominguez.
Aye.
Dominguez Cervantes. Tolston.
Aye.
Tamayo.
Aye.
Ugarte.
Aye. Motion carries 5-0.
I always want to be like, no.
No.